Genesis Owusu, Struggler album review. Let's chat about it. Hey friends, what's going on? John here from What's Spinning, here tonight to chat about this latest album, the second album from Ghana-born singer-songwriter Genesis Owusu, who a few years ago really took off in a big way with his debut, Smiling with No Teeth, and I certainly got the hype. I did not review it for this channel. I actually took quite some time to listen to it, but I certainly do get the hype around it. It was a really ambitious blend, an eclectic blend as well, of everything between alternative R&B, neo-soul, some alternative rap, but there was also some alternative rock thrown in there as well. This thing was pretty ambitious, and the electric performances throughout did really sell me at the end of the day. But I did think that Genesis still had a lot of room to grow. And, you know, leading up to this album, you know, I was very mildly curious leading up to it. But then I started hearing some of the singles, and I was really impressed by how left field they were coming off. And lo and behold, I think he has grown quite a bit in a few years. This album starts off with Leaving the Light, and between this and the OC's album that I reviewed yesterday, what a great week for oddball weirdo music. This is a highly caffeinated, quirky synth-pop track that's super driven, super eclectic. Genesis' performance is all over the place, but in the best way. Like, there is an immense sense of paranoia to this track. It gets a little dark at times, too. You'll probably want to get up and move to this track, but that's fine, because it's got a hell of a groove. A super eclectic instrumental as well, but that definitely sets the tone for what you're going to hear on the rest of this album. On the other hand, the Roach isn't as heady or upbeat, but it's doubly as surreal. The twinkling synths, the sinister vocals, Genesis takes a lot of risks on this album. It's pretty ballsy, but it definitely pays off. It's funky, it's groovy, it's also kind of twisted at times. This is an album that plays by its own rules, and that is no rules. And just try your very best to not sing this for the rest of the day. It's going to be pretty hard, because the hooks that Genesis brings to the table on this album, for the most part, are just spot on every track. The Old Man is really great as well. I mean, I hate to even like mention them and mention their names, because it's just, it sucks. But like, you know, there's definitely some Ariel Pink and some John Mouse sounds on this album. This is a freakish, ghoulish synth-pop track that is equal parts really whimsical and completely freakish. We also get one of Genesis's most intense, in-your-face performances. It is just really commanding, and I love it. I love the tortured vibes, the bulky synths, this instrumental that doesn't want to sit still. It's a great track and an awesome deep cut. See You There, on the other hand, is a sharp left turn to a much more soulful, laid-back, dreamy track with some absolutely divine vocals. This is a big departure for the album, but it's one that works. I mean, Genesis has obviously always been eclectic, but like his range of influences and his styles of music, it's nothing short of impressive. It's a wide array of influences, but he usually nails whatever he's working with. And I love how just cynical this track can get at times without losing any of its very classy nature. Yeah, this is great. And Freak Boy is easily one of the best tracks here. It's fantastic. This is from an instantaneous stance. This is easily one of the most accessible tracks here. This is a first listen love track. It's got a driven synth riff and a truly freaky vocal performance, pun intended. It's pretty awesome. But then we get these couple of really awkward moments that just kind of I don't know, derail this album just enough for me, like That's Life, A Swamp, for example. This is a really tough one. It starts out pretty great. I mean, there is a slick, funky groove that really gets me up and moving. But it's all just kind of average, at least in the first half. There's just so many better tracks on this album that do this sound. But then we get the second half of this track, and it just drags so much. This is almost 6 minutes long, but this is absolutely Genesis spinning his wheels for a few. For an album that's just been so fresh so far, so captivating, this is a real bummer. And Stuck to the Fan as a finale, I don't know, like, I'm not feeling this. I mean, See You There showed that, you know, Genesis can kind of take a slower track and make it really entertaining with lyrics and great vocals. But this is half-assed and sounds more like Genesis on his day off. It's not a finale. It's not a good one, at least. Outside of that, though, I'm thoroughly impressed with this album. I mean, Tied Up? Come on now. Come on, how do you not love this track? This is easily one of the best singles I've heard all year. I mean, what a tight freaking riff. I could get up to move to this on a daily basis. It's sharp, it's funky, it's a lot of fun, and if you're new to Genesis's music, this is probably a great place to dive in. Balthazar, on the other hand, practically has some post-punk influence, and that's a very good thing because it just brings out this, I don't know, more animalistic side of Genesis. This is easily his most fired up performance, his most direct performance, if you will. But it still has a ton of personality. And even throughout this album, he's trying new things, going with new sounds. And this sound right here, it's fresh, it's interesting, it's new for him, and I hope he does more with it. It also gets surprisingly really intense by the end. Stay Blessed is also really great. It's upbeat, it's frantic, it's got this intensity to it. It's probably the most off-the-rails track here. But it's just as easy to take in as most of this album, and I love the way this instrumental just opens up for this hook, if you want to call it that. And what comes will come. Honestly, late in the album, this is a weirdly nostalgic track that kind of sounds like a late 90s or early 2000s video game soundtrack. I love the synths on here. So instantaneous. It's so catchy. This may be my favorite deep cut. And the solos on this track, there's some breakdowns on this track that you don't expect, and they're all really impressive. This album is really impressive. You know, I did enjoy Genesis's debut album quite a bit, but I thought that he could grow a little bit more. And with this album, he does. There's everything from alternative pop to really classy neo-soul to some really throttling post-punk to some just unbelievably catchy synth-pop. There's a lot to take in here. It's a wide array of styles, but he does it all really well. It's very classy, it's incredibly catchy, and most importantly, it's instantaneous. Just pick this thing up and put it on and enjoy it. I think it's really, really good. I'm feeling a decent 8 on this album. Let me know what you all think down below. If you liked the video, be sure to give us a like, give us a subscribe, and let me know down below what you would like for me to chat about in the future. And until next time, have a great day, friends.